Listen closely, because this is the moment you realize your power. The moment you rise from being just an option to being the only standard. A man will never fear losing you until you show him what life without you truly feels like. Until the day you stop answering calls, stop explaining yourself, stop begging for clarity. That is the day he will wake up in silent panic, realizing he has lost the rarest gem this world had to offer. Let me tell you something deeply honest. A woman's absence is louder than her presence. When you disappear, not for drama, but for peace, he will hear the sound of your silence in every room he enters. He will seek your laughter in every other woman's smile, but never find it. He will scroll old texts at 3 a.m., knowing there's no reply coming back. That's the pain of loss you must let him feel. Not by revenge, not by anger, but by your radiant distance. Because darling, when a queen leaves the castle, no new guest can ever fill that throne. Your glow can't be replaced, your energy can't be copied, and your love can't be reinvented. Let him feel the cold of your absence. Make him taste the emptiness of your goodbye. And most of all, remind him silently that you were never easy to have and impossible to forget. This speech is not about making him cry. It's about making you rise. Because the greatest revenge is moving on beautifully. Your silence is not emptiness. It is not weakness. It is not defeat. It is the loudest, most powerful response you can ever give to someone who once took you for granted. In a world where everyone is desperate to speak, to explain, to argue, to be heard, your choice to say nothing echoes louder than 1,000 words. Your silence is the mirror in which he sees his reflection. Every mistake he made, every lie he told, every moment he ignored your value. It all plays like a haunting movie in his mind when your voice goes quiet. Think about it. What happens when someone sends you a message and you leave it on read? Their mind starts racing. Why isn't she replying? Is she angry? Is she over me? Has she moved on? That one moment of silence creates a storm in his mind that no shouting, crying, or begging could ever cause. Silence makes him curious, restless, helpless. He realizes that you have finally stopped explaining yourself, stopped chasing for validation, and that burns him deeper than any harsh word ever could. In daily life, we see this power play everywhere. The friend who suddenly stops texting you back after years of you chasing them. The colleague who no longer reacts to office gossip and games. The neighbor who used to smile and greet, but now passes by in pure silence. What happens? People notice. They panic. They start wondering what went wrong, even if you have said nothing. That is the magic of silence. It demands attention without asking for it. A woman's silence is the loudest reminder of what he lost. When you were there, he ignored the warmth in your words, the care in your voice, the softness in your tone. But now, without you speaking, that void becomes unbearable. Suddenly, the silence is everywhere. In his bed when he wakes up, in his room when no text arrives, in his heart when no notification lights up his phone. And that silence screams the truth. You are gone. Look at relationships. When someone cheats or betrays trust, the natural instinct is to fight, to ask, why? But when you remain silent, when you pack your dignity and leave without explanation, that man will sit in the ruins of his own mistakes, haunted by what he can never fix again. Silence is a sentence without trial, a punishment without court, a scar without a wound. Remember school days? When the teacher would suddenly stop speaking in class and just look at the students. That silence was more terrifying than any scolding. Everyone froze. Everyone wondered what they did wrong. That's the psychological effect of silence. It shifts all the energy onto the other person. It makes them uncomfortable, nervous. It forces them to face their own actions. Even in families, when a parent gets deeply disappointed and simply walks away without speaking, the child feels that guilt sharper than any shouted word, because silence carries weight. It is filled with unspoken truth, a truth that the other person cannot run away from. Your silence is not weakness, it is strength. It means you have chosen peace over chaos, self-respect over explanation. When you refuse to engage, you take away his power to manipulate, to twist the story, to play the victim. You leave him alone, with himself, with his regret, with his shame. Self-respect is not just a value, it's a silent, unstoppable force. A woman who walks in self-respect becomes irresistible, not because she tries to prove anything to anyone, but because she proves everything to herself. It's in the way she carries herself, in the way she says no without fear, in the way she doesn't beg for attention, validation, or love. And that shakes the ground under the feet of anyone who ever thought they could play with her emotions. In life, people smell desperation from miles away, but they also sense self-respect like a blazing fire they can't touch. Have you ever noticed the difference between a woman who waits anxiously for a man's text and a woman who simply puts her phone down and focuses on herself? The energy is different. One is pleading for crumbs. The other is sitting at a banquet prepared by her own hands. That is self-respect. It makes him think twice, makes him sweat. Because when a woman respects herself, she sends a silent message. You cannot afford me if you do not value me. Look at the workplace. There are employees who will tolerate disrespect, unfair workloads, and gossip just to keep the job. And then there's the one woman who stands up and says, I know what I bring to the table. Either you respect that or I leave. What happens? Everyone notices. Even the boss feels her energy. That kind of self-respect commands fear and admiration at the same time. Because nobody plays games with someone who is not afraid to walk away. In friendships too, the power of self-respect shows. Think of the friend who is always available, always giving, always bending backwards to please everyone. She gets used, ignored, forgotten. Now think of the friend who sets boundaries, who says, I am not okay with this, who chooses peace over parties, quality over quantity. Suddenly, her absence is felt. Her presence is desired. Because self-respect filters out the wrong people and draws in the right ones. Even in love, this truth explodes like fire. A man can sense when a woman has self-respect. She doesn't tolerate late-night, disrespectful messages. She doesn't fall for promises without actions. She doesn't cry when someone leaves. She opens the door wider. And that frightens him more than any angry words. Because a woman with self-respect is not afraid of loneliness. She's afraid of losing herself. And that makes her the most dangerous kind of beautiful. Remember the times you went shopping? When you see two items, one cheap and easy, the other rare and expensive? Which one do you value more? The one that cost something, the one that wasn't available to everyone. Self-respect makes you that rare, expensive treasure. When you hold yourself high, when you set standards and stick to them, you become the thing he cannot easily reach or forget. Even in families, the quiet elder who commands respect without shouting has self-respect. They don't explain their decisions, they live by them. And that earns silent admiration. Children watch, neighbors watch. Everyone feels that energy. Because self-respect is not noise, it is presence. A presence that changes the temperature of every room you walk into. When you practice self-respect, you do not fear losing anyone. You fear losing yourself. You choose solitude over insult. You pick dignity over drama. And that changes everything. Because the moment you decide that you are enough, complete, whole, the world shifts. People treat you the way you treat yourself. If you see yourself as rare, they will too. If you see yourself as valuable, they will rise to your level, or they will fall away. And that's the secret every woman must know. Absence creates value, presence makes you common. This is one of life's most misunderstood truths. When you are always available, always saying yes, always reachable, people stop seeing your worth. Familiarity dulls their senses. Your presence becomes expected, not appreciated. But the moment you remove yourself, when you pull back your energy, when you vanish into your own silence, suddenly you are not common anymore. You are rare. You are missed. You are valuable. Look at daily life. The friend who is always hanging out, always calling, always messaging, she becomes part of the background, taken for granted. Her voice is familiar, her jokes are predictable. But the friend who pulls away, who chooses peace over parties, who disappears into her own quiet life, suddenly people wonder, where is she? Why isn't she here? Her absence makes her unforgettable. Her silence speaks louder than her presence ever did. That is the truth you must understand. Even at work, this happens. The worker who is always staying late, always doing favors, always available for every task, no one values him. He becomes the yes person. But the worker who refuses unnecessary demands, who sets boundaries, who takes their time away seriously, the manager wonders about him. The colleagues respect him. Because absence creates mystery. And mystery creates worth. When you make yourself scarce, people begin to see what life is like without you. And it makes them uncomfortable. Relationships are no different. When you are constantly calling, texting, checking in, asking, are you okay? Do you still love me? You lose value. You become expected, predictable. But when you stop chasing, when you choose distance, when you step back and say nothing, that man starts wondering, questioning, worrying, because suddenly you are not there. Your laughter is missing. Your energy is gone. Your voice, your messages, your attention, missing. And in that space, value is born. Absence plants the seed of regret in his heart. He begins to realize what he lost. Even in entertainment, this rule holds true. Why do people wait eagerly for the next season of a favorite show? Because of the break, the absence. Imagine if that show ran every day, non-stop. You would get tired of it, bored. But when it disappears for a year, fans crave it. That's the power of absence. It builds desire, it creates curiosity, it increases value. Think about perfume. When someone walks past you with a beautiful fragrance and it lingers in the air even after they're gone, you notice it more when they have left than when they were standing right next to you. That scent, fading slowly, makes you turn your head and want more. But if they stood beside you all day, wearing the same scent, you'd stop noticing. The brain adjusts to what is always present. But when something is gone, the heart cannot forget it. Absence also tests relationships. When you stop reaching out, when you let silence stretch, the right people will chase you. The wrong ones will let you fade away. It is in that gap that you see the truth. That is why absence is so powerful. It reveals who cares, who fears losing you, and who never truly valued you. Even family members who ignore your presence will suddenly call when you stop visiting. The cousin who never checked on you will message you when you don't show up at gatherings. Your absence reminds people that you were never supposed to be taken for granted. You were a blessing they ignored, a joy they overlooked. And when you are no longer there to give, to smile, to share, that's when they remember you most. Scarcity makes diamonds valuable. Rarity makes gold desirable. And you, your energy, your time, your love are no different. The more you give it freely, the less they treasure it. The moment you guard it, protect it, limit it, they start craving it. Because what is rare is priceless. Let him feel the weight of your energy missing. Let him sit in the silence of your absence. Let him wake up every morning and realize the air feels heavier, the light feels dimmer, the joy has left the room because you're no longer there. When a woman with pure energy, warm laughter, caring presence, and soft patience walks out of someone's life, the void left behind is not quiet, it's deafening. It follows him everywhere. It whispers in his mind when no one else is around. That is the punishment his soul will carry. Every woman must know this. Your energy is not casual. It's not something small. You are not replaceable. When you enter a room, your light changes the mood. Your smile uplifts. Your worry cares. Your anger shakes. Your silence disturbs. You are not just another girl. You are a living force that can fill hearts and break spirits without uttering a single word. When you take that away from someone who took you for granted, oh, the weight of that emptiness crushes him slowly, day by day. Think about daily life. A favorite coffee shop you always went to? The moment you stop going, the staff wonders. They miss your face, your order, your smile. You made an impression without even trying. The shop feels different without you, and so does he. When you were there, you brightened his day, eased his worries, gave him confidence without asking for anything back. But now that you're gone, no one else brings that peace. No one else carries that magic. In friendships, the friend who always checked up on birthdays, remembered small details, sent care text, when she stops doing that, you notice. You wonder why. You miss the joy she brought. Because energy is not a thing, it's a presence that lifts others. And when that energy is missing, the world feels colder. That's what he feels when you step away. A chill in the air, an emptiness in the room, a missing color in his life. Even at the workplace, it's the same. The colleague who always made everyone laugh, made meetings bearable, who fixed problems without drama, when she quits or moves away, the office feels different. Something beautiful is lost. The energy they brought was invisible, but powerful. That's how you were in his life. You filled the air with sweetness, softness, care. And now, nothing. No good morning, no check-in messages, no late night calls, just silence. And that silence is heavy. Think about a home. When a mother leaves the house for a few days, everything feels wrong. The kitchen seems lifeless. The living room feels too quiet. Even the dog waits by the door. Why? Because her energy made the house a home. You were the same. Your attention, your care, your small words of comfort, they made his world warmer. Now that you're gone, the warmth is gone. Let him feel that cold. Let him sit in it. Even social media reminds us, when you stop posting, when you stop liking his photos, when you disappear, he checks your profile. He wonders. He feels your absence even in the digital world. Because your energy used to fill his notifications, his mind, his heart. Now it's gone. And every empty screen reminds him. At the dinner table, your chair sits empty. At the parties, you are missing. In the car, there's no laughter beside him. The world around him becomes a museum of memories, showing him everything he lost. Every place he goes, every moment he lives, he feels that something is missing. You, your energy, your voice, your presence. And that weight will break his heart far more than any words you could have said. Focus on becoming unreachable, not because you want to play games, not because you want to make someone chase you, but because your life is so full, so rich, so purposeful that no one can just casually reach you anymore. When you become a woman who is busy building herself, chasing her dreams, loving her peace, growing her mind, you naturally become rare. You are no longer sitting by the phone waiting for his call. You are no longer checking who viewed your story. You are living, glowing, rising. And that makes you unreachable in the most beautiful, powerful way. Look at daily life. The most expensive brands in the world don't run after customers. They don't shout for attention, they know their value. You walk into their store, they don't beg you to buy. In fact, they choose you. Their price, their quality, their uniqueness make them unreachable to those who cannot afford them. Be like that. Be the woman who cannot be accessed by everyone, who cannot be owned, who cannot be begged back. The more you elevate yourself, the more you make people realize they need to earn the right to be in your world. In friendships, this happens too. The friend who is always free, always available, always picking up the pieces, she becomes the go-to person for everyone's problems, but no one values her. But the friend who focuses on herself, who is seen traveling, working, studying, improving, she becomes the one everyone admires, envies, wonders about. Where is she? What is she doing now? That's the power of being unreachable. It builds mystery. It makes your name linger in minds even when you are not there, even in relationships. The woman who has no time for nonsense, who doesn't answer 2 a.m. texts, who doesn't fall for lazy apologies, she becomes unforgettable. Why? Because she's not sitting there waiting for crumbs. She is busy living her best life. He sees her glowing in photos, succeeding in her career, laughing with real friends. And he feels it. He knows she's unreachable now, not because of anger, but because of growth. Because she realized she deserves more. Look at celebrities. Why do we value them so much? Because they are not easily reachable. You can't call them. You can't message them. Their lives are on another level, and that makes them desirable. The harder it is to reach someone, the more value they hold. The same law applies to you. When you become a woman who reads books, learns new skills, hits the gym, builds a business, finds her peace, you become unreachable to those who bring drama, games, lies, and that scares them. Because they know you won't come back. Even in families, the person who is always available to help, who sacrifices everything for others, they get forgotten, disrespected. But the family member who distances herself, who builds boundaries, who focuses on her life, she gets calls, messages, attention. Because now her time is rare, her presence is rare, her energy is precious. That's how you must become. Think about the rarest jewels. diamonds, gold. Why are they so expensive? Because they are not found everywhere. Because they are rare. You are the same. The less you make yourself available to people who don't deserve you, the more they realize your worth. You don't answer every call. You don't reply to every message. You are focused on your glow up, your healing, your empire. And the world watches in silence. When you walk into a room and no longer care who notices, you become the center of attention. When you stop chasing validation, you become the prize. When you focus on your career, your body, your mind, your joy, you make them realize they can no longer reach you so easily. Your standards have risen. Your life is now a place only the deserving may enter. That's how queens are made. That's how legends are born. By becoming unreachable, you force the world to raise itself to your level, not the other way around. Never break your silence first. No matter how much your heart trembles, no matter how much your mind whispers, just text him once. Just call him one last time. Resist it. Your silence is your crown. Your silence is your dignity stitched into every breath you take. The moment you break your silence first, you hand over your power. You tell the world and him that your peace is weaker than your need for attention. And that, my dear, is not the woman you were born to be. You were meant to hold the power of silence, like a queen holding her throne. Look around in daily life. The friend who stops texting first in a fight, but holds her silence longer, always wins the respect in the end. Why? Because silence makes the other person question themselves. They wonder, did I lose her forever? Is she gone for good? Why is she not begging like before? This quiet storm makes more noise in their heart than your words ever could. And when you stay silent, you make them realize they were the ones who broke something valuable, not you. In relationships, the man who walks away expecting you to chase him starts doubting himself when your silence stretches on. Every minute you do not reply to his message, every day you do not post a sad quote or a hint of regret, you are winning because you are unbothered, untouched. You are not sitting in the dark waiting for his apology. You are growing, glowing, living. And that shakes his soul more than any angry message you could ever type. At work, the colleague who is insulted in a meeting but keeps her calm silence commands more respect than the one who argues back in anger. Silence makes people reflect on their actions. Your quietness becomes a mirror in which they see their own behavior, and slowly they begin to feel the weight of guilt, of shame, of fear. Because you did not stoop to their level. You stood higher, quietly. In friendships, when someone betrays you and expects drama, your silence is the punishment they never prepared for. They wanted screaming, tears, explanations. But you gave them nothing. No texts, no calls, no posts. Just silence. And that silence screams truth in their ears every night. They check their phone, hoping your name will appear. It doesn't, because you chose yourself. Even in families, when someone disrespects your boundaries and you step back without words, they feel it. They call, wondering why you're distant. They sense your energy pulling away. And in that space, they realize they lost the right to your warmth. Silence teaches people what presence never could. It shows them the value of what they took for granted. Remember school days, when a teacher would fall silent instead of scolding the class? The room would fill with tension. Everyone would freeze. Why? Because silence carries weight. It demands attention. It makes the other person fear what comes next. That's the power you hold when you refuse to break silence first, you make them wonder. You make them regret. You make them miss what they lost. When you don't break silence, you build self-control. You stop reacting. You stop giving away your peace. You tell the universe, I matter. My energy is precious. My words are rare. And the world responds. People chase what they can't have. They fear what they can't reach. They admire what they can't predict. Your silence makes you unforgettable. Even in love stories, the woman who walks away and never looks back is remembered forever. The one who begs, explains, fights is forgotten fast. Because silence is rare, silence is bold, silence is power. When you hold it, you become untouchable. When you keep it, you become legendary. He will scroll through old chats. He will replay old voicemails. He will wonder what you're thinking. But you gave him nothing. No clue, no weakness, no closure. And that absence is his punishment. Let this be the moment you rise and remember who you are. Not the girl who begged for love. Not the woman who settled for less. Not the soul who waited endlessly for an apology that never came. You are the storm he thought would stay forever. But now you are the calm after the destruction, the quiet after the chaos, the distance that burns more than your presence ever could. When you choose silence over noise, grace over anger, distance over desperation, you make him realize that losing you was the greatest mistake of his life. There comes a time when a woman no longer explains her worth. She no longer proves her loyalty. She no longer offers a soul to be misunderstood. That time is now. Because the greatest revenge is not screaming. The greatest revenge is not crying. The greatest revenge is walking away with your head high, your heart untouchable, your dignity untouched. The greatest revenge is becoming so rare, so impossible to reach, so consumed by your glow up that he sits in his own regret, wondering, how did I lose her? How did I let her slip away? You were never meant to be ordinary. You were not born to be someone's second thought, backup plan, or emotional playground. You are the queen who forgot her crown for a moment, but now you wear it again. Now you walk with power in your silence. You speak volumes without uttering a word. You remind him without texting him that you were not easy to have and impossible to replace. Because a woman who learns to walk away with her dignity becomes the kind of woman who haunts a man's soul forever. Let him scroll your old pictures at midnight. Let him replay the sound of your laughter in his head, knowing he will never hear it again. Let him sit with friends and fake a smile while your absence burns deeper than any fire. Sabrina, let him stick to his word. Let him despise dignity with him. You offer something to him, and no one ever takes it from you. Let him scroll your words of case with the screen grab. Let him take a picture, and the screen grabs yours. You left it for the tag. Let him feel the weight of the messages you no longer send, the calls you no longer make, the energy you no longer pour into him. Because when a woman chooses herself over begging, she becomes unforgettable. And while he wonders about you, you will be busy building the life you always deserved. You'll glow in your career, laugh in freedom, breathe in peace. You'll step into rooms with grace, knowing you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You'll attract people who see your worth without explanations, who cherish you without conditions, who love you without games. Because the universe always rewards the woman who finally chooses herself. Never forget this. Diamonds are only valuable because they are rare. Queens are only respected because they are not available to everyone. And you, my dear, are not for every hand to touch, every mouth to gossip about, every man to hold. You are sacred. You are royal. You are extraordinary. When you step back, when you rise in silence, when you refuse to break first, you become the mystery he cannot solve, the dream he cannot forget, the lesson life will teach him again and again. You are not a memory to fade. You are the echo that remains, the song that plays when the room is quiet, the thought that interrupts his peace. Because women like you, strong, proud, healed, are not easy to get and impossible to forget. Your absence is not empty, it is filled with meaning. Your silence is not weakness, it is strength dressed in elegance. Your distance is not rejection, it is protection of your soul. So walk away with your head high. Smile for yourself, not for anyone else. And remember this forever. When you finally stop chasing, they start realizing. When you finally stop explaining, they start wondering. When you finally stop caring, they start regretting. Because the moment a woman remembers her worth, the world remembers her value. And that, my queen, is the power no man can take away from you.